We traditionally think about fly fishing as, you know, little bugs floated on the surface for trout, because that's kind of how it originated. But carp fly fishing is my real, that's my jam. I can't not do it because it's so visual.
Dan Frazier is a fisherman's fisherman. He ties his own flies, and he has written a book on it. And a lot of his are made from the feathers of a pheasant he has bagged or the hide of a deer that he has hunted. He catches whatever he sets out to catch, and usually it's the kind of fish that most people set out to catch.
Anything that eats, you can catch with a fly. So I catch pike every year, lots of them. I'll go out and target pike in the spring when the big spawning females are shallow. I'll catch walleye in the fall when they come shallow. I catch a lot of silver bass and smallmouth bass and perch.
So lots of fish that are fun to catch and good to eat. But there is one species that is his specialty, and it's not one that most would consider to be a delicacy or even edible at all.
They're pretty unpopular.
If tuna is the chicken of the sea, then carp is the buzzard of the lake. In some other countries, the carp is still revered as a food fish and a sport fish. Early Americans liked them so much, they brought carp here and introduced them into American waters.
In fact, we put carp in Colorado before we put the brown trout in Colorado. But yeah, most people have decided they don't like them. And it's funny because I'll talk to the bass anglers or walleye anglers or whatever, and they'll say, oh man, just the other day, I hooked a fish and I thought I had a state record walleye on. And I fought that thing and it was so fun, and then I got it to the boat and I thought, oh, it's just a stupid carp, and then they're all mad and they shook the fish off and threw it away, and I thought, you had the same fun, right? I mean, you didn't eat it, but you had the same fun. That's kind of how I viewed it when I first started, was I'm catching and releasing anyway, and if they're really fun to catch, what's the difference?
So Frazier has taken that fun factor and turned it into a calling card for a unique side business: guided carp fly fishing.
I do it here, Island Lake, Lake Thompson, all over eastern South Dakota.
Yes, people will pay a pretty price to have Dan literally push them around and show them the way.
Everyone I talk to says, oh, I know where there's a bunch of carp, and they're not wrong, but I got to find carp where they're catchable, and that's a lot harder. Those are the spots that are kind of, the ones I've worked hard to get, which is shallow flats, decent water clarity, fish come in to feed.
He stalks by sight. Dan will point out the location, and then when the guest angler can see the carp wallowing near the surface, they try to drop a fly as close as they can to those big, ugly carp lips.
Like a bass or a walleye or a pike will grab a fly and try to run off with it so you can feel it, right? A carp just picks it up and decides whether or not it's food and then spits it back out, because they're picking stuff up all day long that isn't food. So you'll actually see their lips flare or their mouth open or the fly disappear in their mouth. You set the hook and caught a 27 pounder recently. Last guy I took out caught a 20 pounder and a 23 pounder. I keep a digital scale in here to weigh them in the net. Great big fish.
And great big fun for his guests. Frazier teaches carp classes. He gives speeches about carp fishing. He writes about it in Carpe Pro magazine. He has changed the minds of a lot of die-hard carp haters. And because he does it on the fly, so to speak, it has made him work harder to get smarter and make himself the best guide he can be.
There are really good walleye anglers who know more about walleye than I'll ever know, and bass anglers are the same way. But with the fly fishing, for me at least, it's been a good excuse to really spend a lot of time out sort of figuring out, trying to study the fish, and I like it.
Well, my mind is blown. Dan has given me a new appreciation for the lowly carp, especially as a sport fish in the Dakotas. And that boat, by the way, is a technical poling skiff, or a flat skiff. It's built for flat water fishing in the Gulf Coast. And Dan bought his in South Carolina, brought it up from the Gulf Coast. He says he's had anglers from Montana and Colorado and all over the upper Midwest on it who have come to South Dakota to fly fish for carp.